to anyone and everyone around the world in English today. The reason English, I don't speak Urdu, and I am only fluent in English. I don't speak French or Spanish. Sorry, guys. It needs to be English. And the whole purpose of this program is to help bring the world together, help the world begin to think together, to know each other, and realize that there's a lot of diversity in the world. And it is that diversity in the world that makes it interesting, but it also scares people from speaking or even getting to know each other. So we already have a gentleman from Pakistan. We have two people from USA, and it would be wonderful if you would add to your name what country you're from, so people know who you are. Oh, know who you are and where you're from, and I see that you're from around the world. Having said that, Hwang, please change your name. You are not William Wolf. Thank you. Now we have Vietnam, 3 different countries. And what's really very cool about this is that throughout all these countries, neither one of us, although Victor is in the US, have we met in person, face to face. And this is a time where we speak about our cultures, our ways of life, maybe the food we eat, and we get to know each other. And we get to know about each other. And as we get to know more and more about each other, the fears drop away. I used to be very concerned about people who were Muslim, because in our country we were told they were not good, they were all terrorists. Thanks to Rehan Alawala, I found that to be the biggest untruth in the world that I have ever heard of. Anyway, so I want people to begin introducing themselves. I'm going to start with Hwang. Hwang, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, Carla. Hello.
Hi, Hwang. So nice to see you this morning.
You. I'm so happy and excited to be here as well. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me in this session. My name is Huong. I'm speaking from Vietnam. I'm a lecturer in a government university, and I have been teaching marketing and international business for more than 17 years with more than 10,000 students. They are from different countries, different backgrounds, and different cultures, different parts of Vietnam, yes. Apart from teaching, I really love talking and speaking English with international friends. So that's the reason I keep organizing and joining Kala shows every single meeting I can say. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your efforts, your support when you can create this session for us. Place we can share, we can talk about different topics, and we can stay together, enjoy the moment, enjoy life, and also we can deal with some misunderstanding or some differences. I really love this session. Thank you so much, Carla, and everyone.
You said something very interesting, and I hope I get it right, about cultures. Cultures change even from city to city in different countries. Can you give me an example of that in your country? Where you
Yes.
may, like, I know you work in in the capital of your country, but you live in a place further away. Are the cultures always the same?
No, not at all, Carla. Honestly, that's very different, Carla, because even in Vietnam, people in the North Vietnam and in South different. Even their lifestyles. For example, in the North, people prefer drinking tea, iced tea, but in the South, they really love drinking coffee. That's the reason. And also, when thinking about life, in the North, people really want to save money more than spending, but in the southern part, people enjoy spending using their money for their life because they believe that they earn money for their life from spending for their life and something like that, not for saving a lot like in the North. We usually spend like we use more than 60% of our income or salary to save for the rainy day or the future. So that's very different.
Right, and that's a very important point to bring about, because we are not even alike in our countries. I know in the United States, when I speak to someone, and of course I do that a lot, we all speak differently. People get concerned, I want to speak the British English, or I want to speak the... Someone has their Facebook page open and no one ever... Please turn it off. We don't speak alike. There's nothing about the accent that makes it important. What's important is that we speak to each other, and it does change from one area to another. Even Victor and I don't speak alike, and yet we're from the same country. Thank you, Hoang. Hoang, one more question. Are your nieces and nephews coming today?
I hope so, Carla.
I really miss them.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah, even Carla, my nephew NQ got IELTS 6 band 6. So he was so happy and he promised that he would come and join the show.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's good news. I'm glad to hear that. I've actually missed him.
Yes.
And he was getting more at ease with his English.
Yes.
It was so nice. Yay.
Yes. Thank you.
Victor, do you want to? I hope everyone's sharing out the show to your friends, family, and whoever, because as we share it out, more people know about it and more people begin to come. And you should be smiling and laughing. This isn't a very serious show. It's to have fun also. Victor, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, Carla. My name is Victor Irving Jenkins, and I come to you from California, United States of America. During the day, I spend my time driving around, making personal deliveries, and feeding my mind and my spirit with edifying things. I'm in the process of developing an online speaker training academy, because in the era when we find ourselves, we are doing a lot of speaking online. And despite how engaging and how friendly and how loving many of us are, when it comes to presenting ourselves on camera, we can't get that message across. There are some people that are very, very friendly on camera, very, very engaging, like myself, and there are others who want to be. And besides, there's this fear that inundates many of us, and I'm here to help people eliminate that fear. And that
Victor,
fear,
can we talk about the cultures and begin getting into the show?
that's
What
what
do you
I'm, that's
find-
what I'm doing.
Okay. Go on.
Because that fear permeates many areas of our lives and it stops us from actually communicating with one another. It stops us from being open with one another, and it stops us from getting to know one another. And getting to know one another is really what the whole life experience is all about, because the more that we know, the more we find that we have in common, and the more that we find that we have in common, the less we are to build walls between us and people who look and sound different from us. I appreciate being on the Planet Union show because it gives me an opportunity to meet people that don't necessarily live in the same culture as I. One thing about the United States is the culture is sort of like one big block, because over a period of time, the culture changed. In certain places in the United States, they kind of lead the way in culture changing. We used to listen to the radio all the time. Now we watch television all the time. And because of that, it doesn't take very long for new things or even old things to stay in force, because everybody might be in a different place, but they're watching the same television.
Okay, Victor, can we talk about something or let people know about something that is different in the in where you are in California? And maybe in Los Angeles, how the culture does change. You would actually know about North Carolina because you're originally from there.
Right. Well, I guess one aspect of culture that seems to be ubiquitous is coffee in the morning. I personally don't drink coffee, but many people start their day with the smell of coffee in the home. Some people start their day with coffee in a business establishment. And that seems to be something that's been going on for years and years and years. Others in the morning, and while they are preparing to go to work, while they are preparing to leave, they have their television playing in the background. And as their television is playing in the background, they're getting abreast on the current events. See, years ago, people weren't that interested in current events, and I guess maybe not that much was happening, or they didn't have the means to know what was happening 24 hours of the day like they do now. But today, in the year 2022, many people start their day with coffee and television.
Okay, I'm talking about differences. Like in LA, they're very concerned about Hollywood and looking good all the time. Is that the same in Sacramento? Is it something they want to see in Sacramento? What is important to them?
The movie industry, the acting industry, it flourishes in Los Angeles for sure. And many people look on different internet sites, they read different publications to see what the stars are doing, what the famous people are doing. And I guess you could say that if you are not one of those people, then you aspire to be one of those people. I think part of the reason why so many of us have YouTube channels and so many of us are on video is a little bit of that whole star culture that has I guess, taken over the country, because as LA goes, eventually the whole country goes. I imagine there are people in more in rural parts of the country that are not tied into that way of doing things, that way of living. But I think that they're few and far between. And what's odd is in the movie industry, they tell stories about people who live differently from the rest of the movie starstruck folks.
Thank you, Victor. Shafal I can't pronounce your name, but you need to put on your camera unless you're please let me know in the chat if you're a lady. It'll be otherwise I need you to have your camera on in order to speak. Hi, Shafal. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good
I think, yeah, in
evening.
India.
Shafal,
Yeah, yeah.
wait a moment. There's someone before you who I want him to introduce himself, and I'll get back to you. But thank you so much for putting your camera on. And people, make sure you share this show out on your timeline so people know that we are here. Hello, Kamar. I think I'm saying your name incorrectly. I'd like you to introduce yourself. I know you're the professor. And let's talk a little about different cultures in Pakistan, too. First of all, tell me how to pronounce your name. Do you know how to open up your mic? Your mic is closed. Open it up, please. Your mic is still closed. Do you know how
All right.
to? Great,
So-
perfect.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, first of all. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Kamar.
Do me a favor, speak a little slower. You know, the
Okay.
sounds are different in English and Urdu. And when you speak slower, it's easier for people to understand you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. My name is Kamar. It is pronounced as Kamar, Qamar. And I am a professor by profession. I teach English and business in Pakistan. Currently, I am staying at a small town, which is my native town. Actually, it is called Garibi. I have been doing different jobs inside Pakistan and out in different countries also. So now for some time, I decided to come back to my native town, stay here, and teach English to the people around. And because people here in Pakistan are very interested in going abroad for higher studies, so there is a test which is required that is called IELTS, International English Language Testing System. So I prepare the students for that test. And I also teach them English language part of it. So this is what I'm doing.
Okay. I know in Pakistan, there are so many different cultures and ways of life. What do you see as an interesting contrast in the cultures in Pakistan?
Like you just said, we have many different cultures. Every city, every town has culture of their own. If I talk about my town, it's a small town, right? It has different culture than from the capital, which is Islamabad, where I have spent almost more than a decade, or the other bigger cities, Lahore or Karachi. So people here, they are very simple in nature. They live their life simply. It does not mean that they are not educated or they are not culturally aware. They are very educated. But again, small community comes with its own benefits and merits and demerits, you can say that. So people here, we are more, connected to each other. We visit each other. We know who our neighbors are. We know who our friends and relatives are, especially, when somebody passes away, we go to them and pass on our condolences. We attend their funerals and do everything to console the bereaved family, which is, again, in different cultures, especially when you go to bigger cities in Pakistan, this thing is not there. Hardly anybody know each other like, it happens in most parts of the world. We speak different languages. Even in in my hometown, we speak 3 different languages: Hindko, Urdu, and Pashto. So, knowing 3 to 4 languages, dialects, you can say, is very common for a Pakistani person living in this country. So this is it. Then we, have different customs. When it comes to weddings, it's a totally different thing because, again, when a wedding happens here at a small town like Haripur, it's different. You cannot mix up with men, cannot mix up with women, and they have different shows. They have different events for everyone, men and women separately. But when you go to bigger cities, Islamabad, the capital, is hardly like 80 kilometers from here, but the culture is totally changed. The weddings over there, for example, are more extravagant, and it's you can say it's every event, every function, you can attend together with men and women can attend together.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was informative.
I didn't know that at all. I'm learning new things, which is the reason I do this. Okay, Sharful, can you please introduce yourself? Sharful, Sharful, you are muted. And
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry.
Can you, don't worry about being sorry. There was some noise in your background and I needed to mute.